thinking what the earth was going to say.
If I give you the sound here,
Okay. I'm here supporting this as a demonstration against new regulations put into practice last year about censorship of film and people's ability to access film online. I've been campaigning over the last year about government regulations on online censorship. What they say they're doing is censoring porn. What they're actually doing is putting in place a whole load of regulations, filters, that mostly come from abroad, from the States, from China, and imposing a standard upon the internet here that is not an English standard. For example, pornography in the States includes nudity. I don't think nudity is porn. And it's very appropriate that we're here today, what is really wrong about the filtering, about the censorship the government is putting in place, is that it keeps censoring LGBT sites. It keeps censoring sites that are relevant to people who are likely to be frequenting this street. Two examples I was looking up because I do film reviews. I was looking up a site called the Pride Film in my local library. That was blocked. I was looking up an article by Julie Bindel, of all people, about how the islanders of Lesbos object to the way lesbian is used to describe a sexuality. Apparently, if you click on Lesbos, you get a bit irate about that. That article was censored. And what is happening is that young people are going into libraries, they're going into public spaces, they're looking for information about their sexuality, about their gender identity, and if you're young and a bit scared and you find a great big notice saying you're not allowed to look at this site because censorship, because it's adult, because it's bad, then you're going to start to think your sexuality, your gender identity is wrong. So for those reasons, it's time the government thought again, it's time the government put in place a policy that is a good deal more rational around censorship. Thank you.
Thank you to Jane. I've got Dennis. Dennis is going to say a couple of words for me. Thank you. Sorry, mate.
Good afternoon. Thank you to everyone who's come down to protest today. I'm your local organiser from Consenting Adult Action Network. We are an inclusive organisation that campaigns about sexual liberation for all people. As you can see, I'm a disabled person. We don't have any particular campaigns about disability. We're about making sure everyone has access to sexuality of their choosing, which is what we're here about today. What we're here about today is simply consenting adults making a choice to do things they want to do and share things with each other. And we believe simply that government, ATBOD, and all of the rest of these bodies do not have any place telling us what we might look at and what we might do as consenting adults. We don't want to see our sexuality criminalised, and we also don't want to see images of our sexuality criminalised, because we think keeping that stuff amongst consenting adults is good enough. And we don't want the government in our bedrooms. We don't think what goes in our bedrooms has anything to do with the police. I mean, I'll stick to my usual rule. I'm a dom. If the police are going to come in my bedroom, then they're going to need to lend me their handcuffs. So thank you for those of you who did come. I know it's cold in Manchester. People who want to talk about porn, we like being in the warm, wanking away. Unfortunately, it's cold today in Manchester. We haven't had any rain though, and we have some blue sky, which we've laid on just for the lovely Charlotte, who's come from down south. So thank you for joining us, and all of us just keep fighting for our liberation, because there's nothing wrong with consenting adult sexuality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Ben, would you like to say a few words? And introduce yourself, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm an adult producer here in Manchester. I'd just like to say a few words about ATBOD and about the censorship that's going on with online pornography, especially. Because I ran an adult pay site, legally producing adult porn. It's fairly softcore, and it was women just masturbating. But ATBOD closed me down because they felt my content wasn't suitable for the minors that might access the internet. They believe that children are going online, buying porn on debit cards, and actually, giving me some money and earning my profit and revenue, but they're not. But the censorship that ATBOD and the government's endorsing and imposing has a real risk of spilling over into other areas. So at the moment it's porn, at the moment it's sex, it's BDSM, but very soon it's other kinds of information. It's opposing the government, all kinds of political questions and answers can be censored from the internet. We've already seen it in Europe with Google, and the way that they're being asked to now remove search results from people because they request the information be removed, which is detrimental to their career and stuff. So I'd just like to kind of give a word of caution that yes, maybe people accept the filters because it can block porn for children, but it can also block a lot of information for everyone else. You know, we hear scary stories from China, the internet is an example, and it's just a scary place where people have the power to tell us what we can and cannot access. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for that. Okay, I've got mine written down because I know how much I waffle when I talk and I can go completely off track. So thank you for those of you who have attended today. Those of you who I'd like to think all of you know who I am. But those of you who don't, my name is Charlotte Rose. It says so on my t-shirt, Coach Charlotte. I'm a sex worker, I'm a sexual trainer, I'm a political campaigner, I'm a mother, and I'm a supporter of sexual freedom. Thank you again for coming. So why are we all here? So on the 1st of December, the government passed an amendment that changed the law to set regulations against video on demand porn, which comes under the same restrictions as R18 material sold in the UK. What R18 material refers to is hardcore pornography, which includes images of minors, rough sex, rape fantasies, penetration by large dangerous objects, and various BDSM acts. The main reason to why this was put in place was to protect children, in which Rule 11 was included under ACPOD with R18 restrictions. Now, does anybody know what the Rule 11 is? Okay, Rule 11 is harmful material, so it's protection of under 18s if an on-demand program service contained material which might seriously impair the physical, mental, or moral development of persons under the age of 18, the material must be made available in a manner which secures that persons will not see or hear it. So this is perfectly acceptable, you know, we're all for supporting the protection of children, right? But don't you think that we should also have a responsibility for parents and adults to ensure that we're protecting little eyes too? It's not pornography's responsibility to come into your home to ensure that your child is not looking at certain things he shouldn't be. But the other thing as well is, as a responsible parent myself, I do have certain filters in place to prevent my kids looking online. But when my child goes onto everyday sites like Facebook or YouTube and can access videos of ISIS beheading somebody or burning somebody alive, does that not deem you as harmful to their morale? Does that not deem harmful to them growing up knowing that they can access images on YouTube of things like that? But they're more concerned with online demand sales. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? So, on the 12th of December last year, I held the first protest against these ridiculous laws. The success of the protest is why we're here today. That protest was just the start of many. It went global, we're raising awareness, and the protest was out in public, so everything, as always, we're protecting the eyes of young ones, had to be closed. It was a good job because it was absolutely freezing that day. The government claims that this new law is needed to show consistency from DVD sales to clips on demand. But we should ask, who do they think they are, taking our rights away to view legal and consensual sex online without a public debate? Julian Hubbard put on an early day motion on that morning to ask for a debate on the day for the protest, but unfortunately we did not get that debate. But this will not stop the good fight to get this squashed. The updated list of banned activity is not only misogynistic and sexist, but also discriminating towards niche markets and LGBT community. There's more. Caning, aggressive whipping, face-sitting, female ejaculation, fisting, water sports, to name a few. Oh, and let's not forget physical restraints. Yet the BBFC is more than happy to promote cable ties to restrain somebody in the film 50 Shades of Grey. That's a little bit ironic as well, isn't it? Oh, and spanking, and that's why we're here today. So spanking is a long Britain tradition. Who has the right to take our traditions away? Did I consent to this? Did you consent to this? Nobody has consented to have these things taken away. Even the Kama Sutra explains the best practice when it comes to spanking? Surely if we learn the best practice, it should be safe. Isn't that how we are safe at places at work? By learning best practice? That we take responsibility for our own actions? So if people were educated in best practice or any of these activities, surely we would be the ones that's responsible for error. If we were taught in schools the difference between the reality of sex and the fantasy side of sex, surely we would be able to regulate our own activities. But we are, and our children aren't even given the opportunity to learn best practice in sex because nobody wants to talk about it, as it's deemed unsuitable. These decisions are made without your input, and it affects our sexual freedom, the freedom to express yourself in the things we enjoy the most and consent to. This is censorship without consent, an attack on free speech and personal liberties. And if we don't do something about it now, we won't have anything to protect in the future. So let's tell AdBod who we are. We are the ones that will not bow down to sneaky government paid mules that steal our rights to sexual expression. We are the ones that will not be ball gagged into silence through government censorship. And we are the ones that opposes your decisions because it is our right to do so. Democracy or not, we all have rights to express ourselves that is consensual and does not harm a third party. This affects all of us. We cannot take our spanking away. So what can we do? The more people who know, the more people will grow. We need to spread the word and be heard. We need to join hands and take a stand. And we need to unite and fight the good fight. It is up to us to protect sexual freedom. So the end of my last speech in London holds such a special place in my heart, so I'm going to repeat it here in Manchester with you now. So in the style, has everybody seen Braveheart? So in the style of William Wallace, let's protect tomorrow by taking action today. Unite with me here and now, and let AdBod hear our voices. You can try and ban our liberties, but you can never take our sexual freedom. So what we're going to do is we're going to mic up this lovely amp and get some music playing to the song of Hanky Panky by Madonna, and then we're going to do a little bit of a spanking session. Is everybody up for a spanking session? Oh yes, I like that. Okay, dokie. I need somebody's bum, by the way. Can somebody donate me their ass? Nobody's going to donate me their ass. Oh, I've got ass. Yeah. Have you all warmed up for today? We have to make sure that everything's all safe and consented. Do you consent? Yes! Okay, Dennis, do we have some housekeeping rules that we needed to go through? You want to read the housekeeping?